This is Christopher John Björknes. It is July 11th, 2023. I have been actively researching for my forthcoming video exposing the flat earth psyop and how it is rooted in the Old Testament, the Bible, and black magic occult beliefs. And it's led me to some incredible insights into Jeffrey Epstein and his Mossad sex crime ring. And I just got to share this with you. I'll also incorporate it into my video on the Flat Earth PSYOP. You're not going to believe what I'm going to explain to you today. Nobody else in the world has hit upon this, and it is incredible. Let's touch upon some of the points so I can start to get you thinking in terms of what it is that I have discovered. Epstein and Maxwell together represent the androgynous union of the Godhead Yahweh Shekinah, also Samael Lilith. They're ultimately in Kabbalah aspects of the same being. He represents Adam Kadmon, and he represents the Messiah, son of David. All of those generate the 600,000 souls of the Israelites who followed Moses out of Egypt and stood by him at Mount Sinai to receive the law. Epstein planned to populate the earth with his seed by producing 70 children a day through his sexual liaisons. He constructed, this is the really incredible part that nobody else, well, all of it, nobody else has hit upon. His island, Epstein's island, had a temple on it, and it is a scale model of the Talmudic conception of the flat earth, which is also depicted in the writings of the sages as the form of an eyeball. And his temple is the Temple of Solomon. It has within it the black cube of the Holy of Holies, which is filled with the black cloud of Yahweh. Yahweh is Seth, the Egyptian god of darkness and chaos, who is portrayed as a black pig. The pupil of the temple in the form of an eye is that black cloud of Yahweh, Seth Typhon. The iris is represented by palm trees encircling the temple, and that signifies all the gems and jewels that the Israelites are to collect and fill, and it is the city of Jerusalem. The dome atop is the eyelid, which is the dome over the flat earth in the Talmudic conception. But let's take those one by one. I'm kind of excited because this is just blowing my mind. Let's first touch upon the news articles, which reported the fact that Epstein wanted to create a super race of humans that will be the flesh put on the dry bones, according to Ezekiel chapter 37, of the new Israelites who will emerge in the world to come, Olam Haba, after the present world, Olam Hazeh, is destroyed. Epstein, like Adam, like Noah, like Samael, wanted to populate the world with his seed. And this article from The Guardian just succinctly puts it: Epstein reportedly hoped to develop super race of humans with his DNA. Registered sex offender hoped to seed human race with his DNA by impregnating 20 women at a time, New York Times reports. In that way, he was going to be like the Messiah, son of David, like Noah, like Adam, the root source of the population of the world to come. The Independent and the New York Times and many other sources also reported on it. Jeffrey Epstein wanted to seed human race with his DNA by impregnating up to 20 women at a time. So his sexual perversion was very much in line with the deviant behavior of the Shabbatai and Frankists, and the idea that he was going to impart his seed to all the world. This article has many of the sources that I discovered that are part of my theory of where this flat earth mythology comes from and what its ambitions are. It is a biblicist, literalist interpretation that also follows the Talmudic conception of the model of the cosmos. This map shows how Christians later on adopted this Talmudic model and altered it a little bit. Some of them conceive of the earth as being flat with the North Pole in the middle, the North Star in the apex of a dome that encapsulates the flat earth and is filled with the stars. The earth is supposedly at its edge, surrounded by a wall of ice, which is Antarctica. It's complete mythology. It's complete horse nonsense. And they depict the sun and the moon, like the occultists, as being side by side in this dome and whirling about the earth. And I'm going to get heavily into that in my expose on the flat earth psyop and how that relates to occultist black magic, how it relates to Freemasonry, and how it relates to the Talmud. The Talmud has a different conception where the sun goes to the northwest section and then goes around the dome over the earth and then emerges in the southeast, and that is how the day occurs according to the Talmud. So this article gives some of the literature which is relevant to all this. Rashi then gives an alternative meaning for the world, a blemish on the eyelids. He continues, we read about this in homiletic stories. The eye is a mini representation of the world. That's key to understand for all of this. And I'll get into detail about it, but let's just read what this article, which appears on Talmudology.com. This is the URL for it. And it's very informative, very important article that provides some translations that I couldn't find elsewhere. We read about this homiletic stories. In homiletic stories, the eye is a mini representation of the world. And again, he's quoting from Rashi. The upper eyelid represents the rakia, the vault over the sky that contains the stars. So your upper eyelid is supposedly that dome which encapsulates the supposed flat earth and contains the stars embedded in it. And the lower lid represents the earth. So the lower lid of your eye is the earth, and that's the island that surrounds Epstein's temple. The white of the eye represents the ocean that encircles the world. Of course, there is an ocean that encircles Epstein Island. And the Talmudic conception is a conception of the earth as an island amongst a vast ocean, and then across the whole top is a dome. Rashi seems to suggest that since the upper eyelid is described as representing the skies, which are stretched out like a canvas working backwards, the word could mean the eyelid. The Agadic, these are not words I say every day, I apologize. I need to find a rabbi who can explain the correct pronunciations of all these words. Maybe Duvid will help me out. Are you listening, Duvid? Homiletic parable to which Rashi is referring from Derech Eretz Zuta, a minor tractate of the Talmud. and not part of the daily 1-page-a-day cycle. Here it is from the 9th chapter. The world can be compared to the eyes of a person. The whites of the eyes are the ocean that encircles the entire world, the ocean that encircles Epstein's island. The dark part, the ring around the iris, it's actually the pupil, is the world. The iris is Jerusalem. The Talmud and the Bible explain that Jerusalem in the world to come will be filled with gems and jewels. All the gems and jewels of the world will be gathered, and all the gold will be gathered in the temple. And Epstein's island is crowned with gold. The sun goes over the dome, so the top of the dome is golden sunlight, etc., etc. And the pupil, the lit image of the iris, is the temple. Epstein's island has a temple in it. Inside the temple was the Holy of Holies. The Holy of Holies had a curtain that kept it black. It was a cube, and it contained the black cloud of Yahweh, who is the black pig Seth Typhon, the Egyptian god Seth Typhon of darkness and chaos. And all that imagery is replicated in Jeffrey Epstein's scale model of the universe, which he created as his sex temple in his island with its temple. And it's very important to understand that the goal of Judaism is for Shekinah and Lilith to have sex again in the temple. The temple is their bedchamber. So the way to encourage that was for Epstein to engage in sex in that temple, which as above, so below would cause Yahweh and Shekinah to also have sex, and then the great catastrophe of their separation will be healed. Epstein will become the Messiah, the world to come would arrive, and Olam Haba would be here. The Godhead would be reunited in its androgynous form, and Epstein would populate the world to come with his 600,000 seed souls. Is the temple, may it be rebuilt speedily and in our days, and all the days of Israel. Amen. And Jeffrey Epstein rebuilt it and engaged in sex in it, again to encourage as above, so below the Godhead to once again have sex with Shekinah instead of having sex with Lilith. And Lilith is found on the top of Epstein's temple as an owl, the screech owl of Isaiah chapter 34, verse 14. We'll get into that in a moment. He depicts how that eye is set up. The two opinions are shown below. In both, the earth is a flat disk surrounded by water. They really do match nicely with the eyeball images. He shows an image from the book by Judah Landa, Torah and Science, Katav, Hoboken, New Jersey, 1991, page 66. And I'm going to show you some of the Talmudic passages that this refers to in Pesachim 94b. It discusses the dispute between Israelites and non-Israelites about the path of the sun. And in the Jewish view, the sun goes under this dome, which is the upper eyelid, across this great ocean with the earth as an island in that great ocean, a flat earth among a flat ocean. And then in the northwest corner, it ducks under the canopy, goes up and across, and then back again, and then across the sky. Whereas in the Gentile conception, the sun goes over the earth, and then under the earth, and then back over the earth. In fact, the Gentiles understood that the earth was a sphere. Aristotle, Pythagoras, and they even in the ancient world put up two posts and measured them at different points north and south on the earth and determined the circumference of the earth based upon the shadows that were cast by those two posts. And they did all this at the same time that long before this Talmudic misconception was presented. So let's I have some slides prepared, so I'm going to make myself disappear for a moment. So this is this modern psyop of the flat earth, which is being put forward by Israelis and by Christians and Freemasons who want to dupe people and create cognitive dissonance and demoralize humanity with this lie that the earth is flat. They are ridiculing all of humanity and deceiving humanity to believe that the earth is flat, that the sun and moon spin around under a big dome in the Talmudic conception of the earth. So this psyop is all based on Talmudism, and it also relates to some occultist black magic things that I'll get into at another time. But in this map of the square and stationary earth, it's all based upon Old Testament citations, which are interpreted literally to mean that the earth is flat and that you are a blasphemer if you say that the earth is a globe. And I have a lot of the fanatics and flakes who put that theory forward from the 1800s and through the mid-1900s, and now it's been resurrected by intelligence agencies, Freemasons and others, as a psyop against us, like the psyop that there are no nuclear weapons and the lie that UFOs are surrounding us and are out to get us. All this is being done together to distort people's perceptions of reality and make it impossible for human beings to decipher what is real, as their minds are blown with all these heavily propagated lies. Same people put forward those three lies. They try to intimidate everyone from speaking the truth and ridiculing this nonsense. I get roundly attacked every time I bring it up. There's obviously a crew that stalks me wherever I go on the internet and tries to intimidate and smear me with a bunch of lies. It's not working, by the way, guys. So this is how all of this correlates to Epstein Island. On Epstein Island, there is this temple, which replicates the Temple of Solomon. Inside of the Temple of Solomon is the Holy of Holies, which is a black cube that signifies the black pig of Seth Typhon, represented in the Old Testament as a black cloud that appeared, and Yahweh said that he lives in darkness, just like Seth Typhon, the god of darkness and chaos. And the temple was to contain all the gold in the world. All the gold held by the nations is to be confiscated and put underneath the temple. The ocean that surrounds the flat earth in the mythology of the Talmud is represented by the ocean around Jeffrey Epstein's island. There's a screech owl, which represents Lilith, who is also Shekhinah. They're one and the same in Kabbalah. That is the owl of Minerva, also related to Athena, the goddess of wisdom. Chaos and darkness are wisdom. And it is described in Isaiah chapter 34, verse 14. The palm trees which surround the temple represent the iris of this model of the world, the scale model. And they are Jerusalem, and according to the Talmud and the Bible, Jerusalem is to be filled with all the gemstones and jewels in the world, and it is to sparkle with those colors the way the iris of the human eye is colorful and sparkled. The earth of the island surrounding the temple and surrounding Jerusalem is the lower eyelid. It is that island of the earth in the flat earth conception. And this golden dome atop the temple signifies that supposed heavenly dome that covers the flat earth. And it sparkles a gold tone because at night the sun, according to the Talmudic conception, follows a route above that dome to return underneath it at sunrise. So you could also consider Jeffrey Epstein's island as this portrayal of an eyeball that has the black cube at the heart of it. It also closely resembles the planet Saturn, which has a hexagram at the top of it. And the black cube can be pivoted and rotated to represent that hexagram. The black cube is the veiled Holy of Holies that contains the black cloud of Yahweh Seth Typhon, the black pig, who is the God of Israel. That is surrounded by the speckled iris, the colorful iris of Jerusalem, as it is planned to be filled with the gems and jewels of all the world. Nobody else will be alive to own them anyway. And that is surrounded by the white of the eyeball, which is the ocean that surrounds the earth in the Talmudic conception. That is covered by the dome of the upper eyelid, which appears in Epstein's Island as the dome over the temple. And the earth of the island is the lower eyelid that surrounds Epstein Island. And in the Talmudic conception is the earth that is then surrounded by the vast ocean, which is then covered by a dome. These are the Talmudic passages which describe this supposed flat earth. I want people to be aware that this psyop is at its core a Talmudist conception of the world, and that the people behind it are Judaists who are trying to impose their mythological worldview on all of humanity, which is part of their plans for the world to come. Everything else, according to the Noahide laws, is considered blasphemous and should be punished by decapitation. So we have to anticipate the idea that in the future, if we do not go along with the flat earth lie, those of us who do not go along with it will be decapitated as blasphemers under the Noahide laws. Hagigah 12b is another tractate from the Babylonian Talmud. The previous one was Bava Batra, folio 25b. Again, I'm not going to go through and read it. You can read it just by pausing the video and reading it if it's of interest to you. I'm just giving you the references. I'm going to actually go through and read this, I guess, when I do my video exposing the flat earth psyop. Isaiah 11:12 is an important one. Isaiah 40:22 specifically says, "It is he that is Yahweh Seth Typhon that sitteth upon the circle of the earth." So the Talmudists conceived of the earth as a disk. This is Pesachim, folio 94b, which talks about what I showed you, that the sun travels over this supposed dome, the firmament, at night, and how the non-Israelites were more advanced than the Israelites and understood that that conception is a mythology. So that's it. That's what I got for you today. I want to thank the great, kind, and generous people who have been contributing and enabled me to make all of these discoveries, which really expose things that nobody else on the earth is capable of exposing. I think this is an accurate portrayal of why the Kabbalist and Mossad agent Jeffrey Epstein wanted to portray himself with his lover, Ghislaine Maxwell, as this messianic figure, this androgynous figure, this seed of humanity, the Adam, the Noah, the Jesus Christ, the Father of all the world. And where all this is headed, how it relates to the flat earth psyop, how Epstein Island is a scale model of the Talmudist flat earth conception of the cosmos, and the fact that we are being led down the path where in the future, just as I am being harassed and attacked by a obvious group of liars who want to smear me, in the future, under the Noahide laws, if you refuse to go along with this flat earth mythology, that'll be the end of you. You will be declared a blasphemer and you will be decapitated. So please spread the word. Please do contribute. I need your support to keep going, and I'm doing my best to make the most out of every dollar you give me. You can contribute in the description below and at my website, cjbbooks.com, where you'll find my books for sale. I talk a lot about Kabbalah and the Talmud, and how our earth is being usurped by people who want to impose this set of mythologies on all of humanity, and how all of us have to unite to protect ourselves from it. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.